So the UFC has just recently signed a multi-billion-dollar deal with Paramount. And what better way to start off the year than going to the capital of the Chinese Communist Party? Going to Beijing, China for UFC 325. There are a lot of fighters of Chinese descent that have been making waves in the MMA scene. UFC Shanghai was just a major success. And so why not go back to Beijing? It's the city of 1 billion people. You can sell out an arena like that. Easy sell out of the arena. So Tony Has Died, will be proposing UFC 325 in Beijing, China. Let's get straight into this. First and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to the Instagram account MMA Theory. He is the original person that came up with this idea for this video. And I have a couple of the matchups on this video that are the same, but most of the matchups that I propose on this card are unique matchups. So let's get straight into this, all right? For the main event, I don't think there's a more obvious main event. The rematch between Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili has to happen, or there is no credibility to the UFC Bantamweight division, okay? I think that Merab is going to easily deal with Corey Sandhagen. I think he's going to make light work of him. I think it will be like a 49-46, and I think that the one round that Corey wins, it's going to be a competitive round, but Corey basically barely edges it out, right? Maybe the first or second round, Corey can get it. But I really don't think that Corey has much of a chance against Merab. We just saw Merab finish O'Malley for the first time, like legitimately in his career. We saw Merab completely destroy Petr Yan the first time. Merab is an unstoppable force, and he's actually becoming a pretty big star of his own in the UFC. His skits, his online personality, his personality in general, people like it. Some people enjoy his fighting style. I'm not much of a big fan of it, right? I'm more of a fan of the opposing Petr Yan, who is now on a 3-fight win streak, beating the likes of Song Yadong, Davidson Figueiredo, who's a former champion. Song Yadong only has 2 other losses in the UFC besides Petr Yan, and it's to other top comps, so you know that's a really good win. And he beat Marcus McGee 29-28. Marcus McGee is not someone to play with. He was on a pretty good win streak of his own. So Petr Yan has held his own in the top 5. He deserves a title shot after Corey. No question in my mind. And if you really look deeper into Petr Yan's record, all of his losses, except for the Merab loss, can be wrote off as wins. The first Aljamain Sterling fight was a disqualification. The second one could have gone to him. The first Sean O'Malley fight, like there's a second one. The Sean O'Malley fight could have gone to him as well. And so if you really look into Petr Yan, his only loss in the UFC really, true loss that you can say, okay, he didn't look good in this fight. He got outclassed completely. There's no questionability to the decision, is the Merab. And he has gone on a 3-fight win streak since then. So I think you have to do Yan versus Merab 2 as the main event. UFC Beijing. Yan has Chinese descent in him. His last name is Yan. I know he's Russian, but he's half Chinese, half Russian. Petr Yan. And so we got a Chinese as the headliner. We got Merab, who can sell to anybody in the whole world because he's good at talking shit and he's good at selling a fight. And so, yeah, Petr Yan versus Merab 2 should be the main event. For the co-main event of the card, we got Valentina Shevchenko versus Zhang Weili. I do not like WMMA, and I'm going to be honest about that. I think that 7 out of 10 times the WMMA fights are stinkers, bro. Now, I will say as of recently, it has been getting better, and I think that you can accredit that to the evolution of the WMMA. I feel like, WMMA didn't really become a big thing. I mean, obviously it was in Strikeforce, and I'm pretty sure Bellator had it as well. But it really didn't become a thing until Ronda Rousey. And so the evolution of WMMA, I feel like, even MMA itself is a young sport, only being around for like 50 years since the 90s, like as an actual sport and not just people beating the shit out of each other. This sport, WMMA, has only been around for like 10, 15 years, bro. And so I just, like, it's kind of hard to watch sometimes, and it's women's sports. But this is I'm getting off topic here, but this is a fight that I could be so excited for, because these are two goats of the fucking WMMA world. Valentina Shevchenko, besides Amanda Nunes, is probably one of the best female fighters of all time. And Zhang Weili, I think she's top 5 WMMA fighters of all time. I think you would go Amanda Nunes, Shevchenko, maybe you go Joanna Jędrzejczyk. Honestly, you could put Zhang Weili above Joanna even. It really just depends on how you judge WMMA, but I think that, Shevchenko was a long reigning champion. Her only loss was to Grasso, and she got her smoke back against Grasso. She reclaimed the belt. She just defended her title again against Manon Fiorot. Pretty dull fight, but that just shows the fucking skill of Shevchenko. And I think that Zhang Weili is one of the most entertaining fighters on the planet. Frankly, her WMMA fights are super entertaining. And she fights like Peter Yan. When she's out there, she has a Peter Yan-esque style where she's throwing volume. It's super technical looking. She's mixing in grappling. She's doing like things that are just like, that is so high level, nobody's even close to you, right? Zhang Weili has also cleared out her division. The only, I know that Nama Yunus is the only person that beat her. The second fight honestly could have gone to Weili. But her only loss is in the UFC order with Nama Yunus. Besides that, she's beaten Joanna Jędrzejczyk in Fight of the Year. She beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk again in a spinning, Joanna came out of retirement for some reason. Beat Carla Esparza, beat Amanda Lemos, beat Yan Xiaonan, beat Tatiana Suarez, beat Andrade, beat Tisha Pennington, who was Tisha Torres when they fought. I mean, Zhang Weili and Shevchenko, they have to fight each other before their careers are over. And they are number 1 and number 2 pound for pound for the women's rankings now that Nunes is gone. And so I just ask myself, why isn't this being made? Why? Nobody wants to see Verna Jandiroba, and nobody wants to see whoever the other bitch that's supposed to fight Shevchenko is, bro. Nobody wants to see that shit. We want to see these two people fight each other because it would be a banger. All right, so yeah. The next fight, I think this should be the feature fight of the card. And this was a fight that was originally booked for Beijing, but it got canceled. Oh, it was booked for Shanghai, but it got canceled. Song Yadong versus Rob Font. I'm telling you right now, this shit would be a banger, bro. The striking in this fight would be crazy. So Rob Font is right now, he is booked to fight Raul Rosas Jr. And I do think that he should beat Raul Rosas Jr. You look at you might be able to say that Song Yadong deserves a shot up the rankings, but you look at everybody else. Umar and Mario Batista are supposed to fight each other. Corey's fighting Merab. And honestly, you could say Corey and Song already fought each other. Merab is fighting Jan on this card. We know we're not going to have Sean O'Malley in anything other than a main event or co-main event. And so that leaves Rob Font because, Song Yadong already fought Cheeto. Cheeto's fighting Ayman Zahabi. This fight makes sense is what I'm trying to say. This should be rebooked after Font beats Rosas Jr. Now, when Font beats Rosas Jr., he will have been on a 3-fight win streak. And he will have deserved a shot up the rankings, okay? And Song Yadong, he just beat Henry Cejudo, who is a legend of the game. And he also beat, what's the guy's name? He beat Chris Gutierrez, and he beat Ricky Simone. And, he's been around. He's super inactive. But this guy, fun fact, I didn't know if you guys knew this, but Song Yadong actually started his MMA career when he was 15 years old. Yeah, you heard me right. This guy has MMA fights when he was 15. And he's been fighting for so long. You look at his record, it says 22-8. Well, it really shouldn't be. Like, these Chinese people, they fight so long. Like, you look at Ming Yang Zhang record, for example, and he has so many losses on his career, but it's like these people, they get their professional career started and they get like rack up a bunch of losses and then they lock in and then they get good, you know? So that's kind of the same thing with Song Yadong, as he had a lot of early losses in his career. But this fight would be a banger. The striking would be crazy. The boxing of Rob Font versus the just all-around MMA skill of Song Yadong, I think it would be a super fun fight, and it makes sense for both guys. So I think this should be the feature fight. Another fight that I would put on the main card is Big Ming Yang Zhang versus Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby's coming off of a win over Bruno Lopez, but not just that, he also beat Vitor Petrino in one of the nastiest KOs of last year. I think that Dustin Jacoby deserves a ranked opponent because you look at who he has lost to, and I'll say loss in quotation marks because one of these fights is a robbery. Khalil Roundtree Jr., all right? I'm about to read off the stats for this fight, right? This Khalil Roundtree fight in which Dustin Jacoby apparently won. He outlanded Khalil Roundtree 120-85, and it was a 3-round fight. I don't know how anyone could score that fight to Khalil Roundtree Jr., but when you look at what Khalil Roundtree has now done in the UFC, he's beat Jamal Hill, had a pretty close fight with Alex Pereira as well. So I think that really just shows the skill of Jacoby when it comes to his kickboxing. And then besides the Khalil Roundtree robbery, he lost to Azamat Murzakanov. He lost to Alonzo Minifield. I'm pretty sure it was a close fight, if I'm remembering correctly. And he lost to Dominic Reyes. But after that, he beat Vitor Petrino and he beat Bruno Lopez. I think that Dustin Jacoby deserves another shot into the rankings. And I think Ming Yang Zhang, who is Chinese and deserves to be on this card because he's Chinese. And not just that, Ming Yang Zhang, he's coming off a loss where he got fraud checked by Johnny Walker in 2025. Oh my fucking God, bro. But all jokes aside, I don't think you can give him another ranked opponent or should give him another ranked opponent because the way he got into the rankings was by beating Anthony the fucking human the human porcupine Smith, all right, who just curls into a ball. You know, I'm not gonna. But let's stay on topic, bro. I'm not about to go in a whole rant about Anthony Smith, but the point I'm trying to make is Jacoby deserves a shot into the rankings. Ming Yang Zhang, he has to fight down. It would be a fun fight on the feet. There's guaranteed violence in this fight, so I think Ming Yang Zhang versus Dustin Jacoby makes a lot of sense. The next fight I want to talk about, we gotta have. I am scary. I am Joker. I'm coming for you, Chef. You know, Wang Kong versus Tracy Cortez. As of recently, bro, after Ortega just lost to Aljo, and I saw Tracy Cortez talking some shit about him, she's salty, bro. You know, Ortega went back to his old wife. He cheated on his wife with Tracy, who he had kids with, and now he's gone back to fucking his old wife, and Tracy's salty, so she's being rude about it. So who doesn't want to see Tracy Cortez get flatlined by one of the best strikers in the division? Who doesn't want to see Wang Kong versus Tracy Cortez? Okay, I mean, there's not really much to say about this fight. I don't think that Tracy Cortez has truly proven herself in the UFC. I mean, she's beaten a lot of people, but they've been not very good people. She has decent grappling, and I really think that is what would be a good test for Wang Kong, who is a really, really good kickboxer, who beat Shevchenko, who is going to be on this card. Yeah, that's right. I'm cooking this shit up, bro. I put Song Yadong versus Font. You know, winner can maybe fight for the belt. Because Marab's cleared out everybody else, I got the fucking, we're setting up the storyline here. It's all part of the storyline, bro. We got, you know, she beat Shevchenko in kickboxing. They're going to be on the same fucking stage together, be able to talk some shit, get some interest in WMMA going, right? And Tracy Cortez, all the gooners will tune in to watch this one. So, got to have her on the card, man. The next fight I want to talk about, that's the end of the main card. I think this should be the head prelim of the card. We got Loner Kavanaugh versus Ode Osborne. Loner Kavanaugh, man. I still believe in him. I still think that I still have a lot of belief and faith in Loner Kavanaugh, because despite the fact that he got absolutely knocked the fuck out by Charles Johnson, I still think that he is really, really good, okay? You look at what he did to Charles Johnson in that first round, and he looked fucking 4 levels above him, man. He just looked so much better than Charles Johnson in that first round. But then the experience of Charles Johnson kicked in, and Charles Johnson, he likes to analyze the data, he likes to lock in, he likes to read his opponents, and he found the shot on Loner Kavanaugh, who backed up with his hands away and got put away. On the other hand, we have Ode Osborne, who is coming off of a very competitive fight to Steve Erceg, in which he, I'm not saying I scored the fight for Ode, but there is an argument that he should have won the fight off of damage, because Steve did do a lot of hugging in that fucking fight, bro. And so, say what you will about Ode Osborne's ability. I mean, this guy lost to Ronaldo Rodriguez, but he is a decent test for anyone at flyweight. So, for Loner Kavanaugh, I think it's back to the drawing board. I think you need to string a couple of W's, get that experience up. And I think someone like Ode Osborne, pretty set up fight for Loner to win in the flyweight division in front of his home country in China. So, yeah, I think Loner Kavanaugh versus Ode Osborne makes a lot of sense. Tell me this isn't fire, bro. I honestly, I think Song Kenan might be cut from the UFC, but I know these guys train different gyms, so I think that this is a fight that makes a lot of sense for the Chinese crowd. Chinese fighter versus Chinese fighter. Song Kenan versus Li Jingliang. And Li Jingliang, he can bust the suit out again. He can look fresh as fuck coming up to this fight, because I think that he would get this one done. Now, Song Kenan, he might be cut from the UFC. I'm not 100% sure. His only loss, but his most recent loss was the Muslim Salakid, where he got knocked out. But Muslim Salikov, he's been doing pretty good lately. He just fraud checked Carlos Leal. So I think that this would be a pretty fun fight, man. I just think I just think this would be crafty Chinese vet versus crafty Chinese vet. You got the home crowd behind him cheering, going crazy. Pick your Chinese guy. And yeah, this would be a good fight. I think it would be on the feet the whole time. The Leech, he's always there. I mean, he's lost a couple in a row as well. And so, yeah, I think that this fight makes a lot of sense, man. The next fight on the card, whenever you go to an area of the world, it's not just Chinese fighters you got to put on there. You got to put on other fighters from that region. And I think that for Kai Asakura, this is the biggest layup you could get in your entire life. This is all you could hope for and more, bro. This is what you need in your life, bro. You need Matt Schnell, okay? You've had a couple of rough, I'm not trying to just cradle and baby Kai Asakura, but he's got some name value to him. He did get getting a top 10, he got a pound for pound number 4 Pantoja in his debut, and then he got Tim Elliott. I know Tim Elliott's like a layup, and he did good that first round against Tim Elliott. But you're supposed to beat Tim Elliott. So, I feel like this is a very favorable stylistic matchup for Kai Asakura, who is from that region of the world. And I feel like Matt Schnell, he just gets knocked out in every single fight. So why not give Matt Schnell to Kai Asakura? Maybe Kai Asakura can finally catch a W in the UFC, all right? The next fight I want to talk about is Do Hoo Choi versus Giga Chikadze. I have no idea how, on God's green earth, Giga Chikadze is still ranked in the featherweight division. It really is a mystery among mysteries, bro. I know he beat Edson Barbosa, bro, but that was in 2021. And you look at everybody else who he's fought, a fight with Alex Caceres, this was the only other win, and that was in 2023, and that could have gone either way, and Alex Caceres got cut from the UFC and isn't even in the UFC anymore. He missed weight in his last fight. And so, yeah, I think that Giga Chikadze should have to fight Do Hoo Choi, who is shown to be one of the most entertaining fighters in the world right now. He just got done with his military service. he was doing his whole he was doing his whole military service. He's finally back, and now he's put on a little 3-fight win streak. Well, it wasn't the fight with Kyle Nelson could have gone to him, but it was a draw. So he's beaten Kyle Nelson, he's beaten Bill Algeo, and now he just beat Nate the Train. I think that you need to give him someone that's close to the rankings. Maybe Giga will get kicked out of it soon. If somebody has like a close fight or someone else gets into the rankings, he'll get bumped out of them. I just don't understand why Giga's still ranked, and I think he needs to fight up-and-comers. And he has been fighting up-and-comers, but this is just another one that he needs to fight. And I think this fight would be super entertaining because I think it would be on the feet. Giga is really good on the feet. Dooho Choi brings it to bang every single time. And yeah, I think this fight would be fire. And that is it for the card. That's 10 fights that I would put on UFC Beijing. I think that it's a pretty good card. You can throw a couple of other names on there if you want, but I'm not gonna like just match make all these no-name people like Korean. Maybe you could put like the Korean Zombie Jr. kid on the card, or maybe you could put a couple of other fighters that were just showcased on this UFC Shanghai card. You could put them on the prelims of this card, but that is it for UFC 325 Beijing. If you like the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.